So welcome to OctoCue. In this video we're going to look at the clock functions within OctoCue, what it is, how it works, how your presenters see it, and how to control it. So in front of us here we've got three windows. We've got a show control window for a show, and attached to this show I've got two presenters. I've got Andy on the app, who is using an Android phone in this situation, and I've got Bill in browser, and he's over here. Now the clock is supported on both the mobile app and in browser, so I've got one of each here to demonstrate that working. Now the clock is controlled using this clock widget on the show control interface, and the first thing we need to do is show the clock to somebody. We can see it here for ourselves, but most of the time we'd want a presenter to be able to see this as well. Now the clock is only shown to active presenters, so if I activate Andy here, who's on the app, he's now got control and he can click, but he doesn't see the clock until I toggle the show on active clickers switch here. And when I toggle that, the clock then becomes visible to Andy, and you can see Bill still doesn't see it because he's muted. If I make Bill active, Bill sees the clock, back to Andy, Andy sees the clock. So the clock is only shown to active clickers, and if you want to hide the clock, say you need to change the numbers, make some adjustments, you want to do that without the presenter seeing, you can turn it off and turn it on using this toggle switch here. Now the clock can run in several modes. It's currently in countdown mode, and we'll look at this first. So I've got a preset time here of 10 minutes. The clock has been set to 10 minutes, and if I hit play, the clock will start running down. While it's playing, I can pause it and resume. And while it's playing, or even when it's paused, I can also jog the time. So say we want to take a minute away from the clock, I can use this 1 minute and I can add a minute to the clock. So if we need to change the countdown time live, we can do that using these jog functions. As the clock continues to count down, and if I start taking some time away, you'll see it starts going through different colour phases. So I'll keep taking minutes away. And at the moment, once we get past 5 minutes, it goes amber. I continue to go past 1 minute, it goes red. And when it gets to 0, there's a couple of options for what you have your clock do, but at the moment this one's set to display time is up. So once the clock hits 0, it currently displays time is up. Now when the clock's expired, or if the clock is paused, you can reset back to the preset time, which in this case is 10 minutes, by selecting the reset. And you can see it's showing you the preset time here, and we'll look at changing that in a minute, but at the moment it'll go back to 10 minutes. So I can start again. Now in addition to counting down, the clock can also count up, and to get to that function we need to edit the clock settings, which we do with this little cog icon here. Now in this dialog box we can see the various options, so we can count up from 0, where it just starts at 0 and counts up. At the moment we're in the count down to 0 setting, and you can see here the preset time and the time at which the clock goes orange, the time at which the clock will go red, and the options for what happens when the clock expires. So there's the time is up option. The other options are just hold at 0 so it doesn't do anything, and the middle one is count into negative time, so it will show your presenters how far over time they've gone if that's something you want to offer them. Now one of the functions of the clock is you can change the preset time while the clock is running. So I've got Andy here currently with 10 minutes and he's going to speak for 10 minutes, and imagine Bill is going to come up next. He's only going to get 8 minutes. So I can start Andy's clock and Andy can start presenting. While Andy's presenting, I can change the preset time now to 8 minutes and save this. And then when Andy finishes presenting, I can mute his clicker and pause the clock. And you can now see when I reset the clock, it'll reset to 8 minutes rather than 10 minutes. So I'm ready to give control to Bill and to start the clock on Bill. So you can preload clock times for your next presenter while the current presenter is presenting. So that's the basics of how the clock works in OctoCue, what it does, how it's displayed to presenters, and the various options available.